Hey guys, it's Kat and I'm back today for a review. I decided to give my makeup collection some love and review some liners that I have had in my collection for a while now. Some of them are a couple of years old, some of them are 6 months old, but it is probably the liner that I reach for the most or have been clearly purchasing the most. I am wearing them on my eyes today. I did a get ready with me and it's sort of like the rainbow liner look. I put the liner on the top lash and then I also mimicked them in the waterline, so hopefully you can see a better close up on the screen right now. But these liners are by Inglot. So I am a big fan of gel eyeliners and I've been using gel eyeliners for probably 9 years now. I sort of switched to gel eyeliners. Before that I was like pencil, I was felt tip liners, and mainly I'm predominantly gel liner. I find them a little bit easier to work with. They're a little bit more forgiving since they're generally more of like a thick sort of creamy sort of consistency. I find that they don't run as much. I just find them a lot easier to use, and you can get a precise sort of sharp look with them, or you can sort of blend them out a little bit. I did wear one of these liners the other day and I actually sort of blended it into the crease for it to act a bit like an eyeshadow, and I find that works really well. You can do that with gel eyeliners. So I find that these are really good because you can sort of control if you want them to be a little bit more buffed in, if you want them to be a little bit more crisp, you've got a lot of control over them. Okay, so I have tried many gel eyeliners. I've tried the Maybelline ones, don't love them. I've tried MAC ones, I've tried Shuramura ones, Bobbi Brown ones. I've also tried ColourPop ones, and many of them are really good. I find gel liners, not only are they more of like a moussey consistency, so you can control them a lot better, but I also find that they generally are decently pigmented, and also they set really well and you can wear them on the waterline as well. So yeah, I really like them. They tend to be more budge proof than other liners as far as I'm concerned. But the reason why I want to talk about Inglot ones is because they are very different to other liners I've tried, but they have some of the best color ranges out there. And also I find the pigmentation with the colored liners are way better than other liners that I've tried in the past. I've also tried Kryolan. I've tried a lot. Okay, so I thought before I tell you the colors that I've got, I'll show you one that I bought about 6 months ago. This one here, which is in the shade 87. It's like a nice bright sort of teal color. I don't know if you can see properly with just on camera, but this is, it's a weird consistency. It's almost like a semi-set paint. So it's quite firm to touch. Like it's not a cream that sort of you just push it in and it just like moves around, because it is like a solid set sort of product. But then once you do pick it up, once it warms up, it almost becomes a very thin paint. So it's very different to other, I've got a towel down here, thank God. It's very different to other gel liners, like the MAC one, for example, is very, very moussey. So you pick up a lot of the brush, it glides quite nicely, same as the ColourPop one, but I find that often moussey consistencies, they aren't as pigmented as something like this. MAC Black Tracks is really good with the pigmentation, but some of their colored liners, even though they're pretty, they don't pack a punch with pigment, whereas these are the best I've tried when it comes to pigmentation. Because if you do pick up some like this and you blend it out, you can see that it does have a lot of pigment and it's a solid pigment, whereas I'll grab a MAC one for you. So this is a MAC one, this is Royal Wink, and this is much creamier, it's much more emollient, and if you press down on it, it's sort of, your finger sticks into it because it's a lot creamier. But you get on your finger and it's just not as pigmented. So the pigmentation with the creamy liners often aren't there. They're nice, but they're not as good as the Inglot ones. So I find that if you want colored eyeliners, Inglot ones are the ones to go for, hands down. But there are some limitations when it comes to the Inglot ones. They are super, super, super pigmented. Like, they are the most pigmented liner. Like, that's a tiny bit, and that's me rubbing it onto my hand. But because they aren't very creamy and sort of emollient, they are that firmer, almost like a firm clay, but then if you put your brush on it, it's sort of like it warms up and picks up like a paint. Because of that, they can dry out. Now I'll show you an example. That is a dark purple one that I have that has sort of started drying out. Now picking it up, the product is a little bit drier than the other one I showed, but it still is very pigmented and very usable. You can see it's a little bit thicker and a little bit tackier, but look at the pigment. So they do have a tendency to start drying out, even if you store them really well. It's just the nature of them, but doesn't mean it's gone bad. Another one that is my favorite shade, this one has also dried out. You can see it's got a crack, a nice little cross crack. But once again, if you put your finger in it, these are still very, very, very usable. They just might be a bit thicker than when they're completely fresh. So that one is my favorite color. It is my favorite colored gel liner. It is phenomenal. Another one that I really love is this burgundy color. I'll go through the names in a second, but you can see that this one is a lot more wet and thin because it's a newer one. So you can see that it is very, very thin. It's not as tacky when you pick it up, but once again, let's try to show the pigmentation. The pigmentation of these liners are like no other. They're fantastic. So they're very, very thin and wet to work with when they're fresh, but after you've had them for, I don't know, maybe a year, they can start to dry out and be a bit thicker. So my thing about these is you have to, my recommendation is you have to buy Inglot Duraline if you're going to buy some of their gel liners. This is only, I don't know, I think it's under $20 in Australia. I think I got it from a trade show. It was like 12 bucks or something. And what this is like an oil sort of product, and it makes a product waterproof. So for example, if you wanted to turn a pigment into an eyeliner, you can mix it with Duraline if you want to, yeah, anything like that. But these also rehydrate the liner. So you'll find that if I wanted to use, let's say, let's go my favorite one here. So if you wanted to use this and on a brush, I'll show you the brushes I often like to use with these liners as well. So my personal favorite is just like the standard pointed eyeliner brushes to use with these. This one is by Sigma, it's the E05. And then another one that I've really loved recently and the one that I use to create this look, this is the winged liner brush by Sigma as well. This is the E06, and it's a very, very small angled liner brush, but you can see how thin it is. I don't like sort of angled liner brushes generally because I find they're too thick for kind of gel liners. You need something really thin so you can be quite precise, but I'll just demonstrate with one of these. If I was to pick up this product now, which has dried out, it's still very usable, but it has dried out, you'll see that it's quite thick and it's quite almost putty-like. So you can pick it up and you can draw a line. Let's draw one here, shall we? You can draw a line, but it's a thicker line. So you can see how pigmented it is and how nice it is, but it is a thicker line. So if you know, you can use it and it's not a problem, but it is definitely a bit thicker and more, I don't know, putty-like than creamy or paint-like. So what I do with the Duraline is I just drop one drop into it. Now you could drop a bunch and mix it up, but the problem is the more you do that, the more this will become more solid like a rock and become more like harder to use. So it's best just to put like a drop in the area that you want to use it, rather than mixing it all in. So keep it dry like this, but just rehydrate an area at a time. And I find if you get one drop and you put it in, so let's put one in here just on the side, that is enough for a few applications easily. So you can see that that little area now is wet. And then if you just mix it in with your brush, so you can now see that after I've added in Duraline, this is now rehydrated and it's like a nice paint. So, you know, if you want a really crisp line, you would go in with Duraline, and you can even like do really fine things. Let's get some more. So you can really control the consistency, and if it is a bit runnier, you can do more fine work. So if you see that, you might go, oh, that's gross, it's now, I have to throw it out. You don't have to throw it out. You just have to put a drop of Duraline in it and it's good to go. So Yeah, that's the key with these liners. That's the one, I think, limitation with them is they do dry out, but there's always a way to fix them. So I do recommend buying Duraline if you're going to buy one of the liners. So I'm going to go through the colors, and the oldest one that I've got is 77, which is the black. So it's probably one of the most well-known ones. You can see that this has cracked a little bit. I have used Duraline on this many times, but it's a very, very true, very black eyeliner. Like, it's one of the blackest black ones if you really want a black one. Also, the good thing about these is that they dry down matte, so you can see that they don't really have a shine to them. So if you don't like that glossy liner look, these are matte. They're also really budge proof. This is rubbing alcohol that I'm using, and they're really hard to remove. Like, even the thinner you put them on, I think the harder it is to remove. So I've got rubbing alcohol on a towel, and I am rubbing and I am rubbing and I am rubbing, and it is finally coming off. It's still on. Look at my skin, it's red. So these, like, look, the MAC one has gone. The Inglot ones are still there. All right, so like I said, this is 77. It's well known, it's black. I'm just going to swatch it with my finger. You can see the pigmentation of it. I probably shouldn't have done that, but it's very pigmented. So I can't do that with each of them. That's going to be a nightmare to remove. But the black is very black. It's a great one to start with. I've had this one for a very long time. It's got a huge dent in it. It is a classic. Then some of the fun colors that I have, and these are the ones that I've put on my eyes today. So I've gone from orange all the way through to a bright teal. So let's start with orange, which is 63. This one was one that came out in a collection last year, but it's a burnt sort of orange color. I'll just put it there. You can see that it's a lot thinner because it's newer compared to some other shades, but the pigmentation is extreme. You could also use these as like an eyeshadow base. So if you just wanted to pat them on as like a bright base, you can easily do it. One that I've been loving at the moment, I really love this with just a taupe eye or a bronze eye. This is 65, which is a beautiful, beautiful burgundy. I love this. I want a bright red actually. I might go buy one. But this is the burgundy one. That is extreme. That is so nice. I have used this blended out as like an eyeshadow. So I put the winged liner on, then I blended it out in the outer corner. And the more you do blend it, the more sort of cherry red it gets. So you can either make it really intense or cherry red. But I also want to demonstrate that if you use this with a brush, you can see how pigmented they are because you don't need to build them. That's the key. If you put a thinner layer on with these sort of products, they last a lot better on the eye, whereas if you build them up, they kind of get chunky and it's harder to stay on. So you can see that with one thin line, it's full pigmentation. So if you did want to blend it out afterwards, you can for a nice burgundy look, but you don't need to build it up to get the color, which is fantastic. And that's what I love about these. The only one that I've used that I don't think is like full opaque is this pinky color one. This is in 64. And even though this is a beautiful kind of purpley pink color, it does have a bit of translucency to it. I don't know if you can see, but you can sort of see through it a little bit. It's still a nice even color. So if you do apply it, it looks quite even, but I've just noticed that when you do apply a thin layer, it can look quite pink, whereas if you build it up, it can look a little bit darker purple. So even though that one does have nice pigmentation, it's more of a translucent pigmentation, but it's still very pretty. 75, that dark purple. They've got a lot of dark purples in the range, so if you prefer more of a bluey purple or a warm tone purple, you can see that this one is like more of a dark eggplant purple. I really like this as like an alternative to a black, so if you just want to add something that's a little bit less intense than a black, I should actually get more browns. I've got a lot of colors, I don't have any browns. I should actually get a brown. Okay, 82 is a beautiful color. This is gorgeous. So this is the one that I've got sort of, if you wanted to see this tutorial, I did a get ready with me and you can see how vibrant this color is. When you apply it, it's really, really gorgeous. Look at it. So once again, this would be great as like just an eyeshadow if you wanted to apply it as an eyeshadow. Then I put on 67, which is a vibrant, like, I don't know, electric blue. So I'll compare this one to the MAC one. So that is gorgeous. So even though this one looks less bright than that MAC blue, let's put the MAC blue next to it. It's pretty piss poor, really. If you want colored liners, Go Inglot, come on. And they're cheaper as well. They're way cheaper, you get more product. Let's compare the product amount. 3 grams, 5.5 grams. Yeah, I know what one I would like. 2 more, we've got my most used colored one. I love this whenever I'm wearing like a colored, like a teal liner. I use this one quite a lot and people are always like, what are you wearing? It's this. What I love about this is it's dark enough to elongate the eye and really frame the eye without, yeah, but it's also bright. So that even though it doesn't look, it looks quite dark in the pan, it is, oh, it's so good. It's the best color. So that's it there. Look how gorgeous it is. Oh, I love it. If you want something, did I say what number? That was 66 if I didn't say that. And then 78 is similar but a bit brighter. So if you did want a brighter sort of turquoisey color, this one is a brighter one. You can see down there, it's gorgeous. It's got that same sort of translucency as that pink one. If you don't apply it sort of evenly, it can look a little bit translucent, but you can see that those are very similar. This one just looks more like a traditional liner, whereas that one sort of looks very bright on the eye, but they're both gorgeous. So yeah, what's the moral to the story here? If you want colored liner or gel liner in general, go Inglot. They've got a massive range. I'm tempted to pick up a few browns and maybe even like a true red. They also have shimmery ones, which would be nice just as eyeshadows. But if you want a colored liner, they've got it for you and they're gorgeous. They are waterproof, they are budge proof. You can put them on the waterline. You can see that I've got multiple colors on there and it still looks great. And I'm gonna use some micellar water to see if we can remove it because these, yeah, I find the best way to remove them is like with a cleansing oil at the end of the night. But let's have a look with micellar water. Come on guys. So the one that I just put on and layered on, that's coming off because that wasn't completely dry, but it takes a long time to scrub them off. Come on guys, you can do it. The MAC one goes very quickly, these don't. So we got there in the end, guys, woo! So no, like, that's fine. I scrubbed because I did. So these are very waterproof, they're very, very bold, they're very, very pigmented, but the key thing about them is that you're gonna have to get Duraline because they do dry out, but that's their only real downside. Otherwise, they're phenomenal. The color range is fantastic. But I do wanna say that I would love for them to eventually start bringing out split pan ones because, for example, if I could have got a split pan like with these two in it, it's better than buying like 5.5 grams of product of shades that you're not going to wear too often. So yeah, I think I would have loved to have seen that they bring out sort of split pan ones or mini ones, because even though it's great cost per gram, you get a lot of product and they last a very long time. So yeah, I've got liner, to last me a lifetime. But yeah, I thought I'd do a rave review on products that I literally use every single day and that I have never actually reviewed. So that is, you know, if you want to see me review anything else that I always talk about or that I use a lot, or if you see in beauty news, and we've got our full makeup list, if you see that I use a product a lot, yeah, let me know and I'll review it. But these are products that I just consistently am happy to buy and they just always impress me. Alright guys, if you do want to see how I got this eye look, I did film it. It is a very long chatty get ready with me because I was answering questions that people had, so it's probably pretty long. I'll have it on the screen, but if you do want to get straight to me applying the part where I apply the liner, I'll have it sort of in the description box, a link where it will get to the point in the video because it's a long video. So yeah, that's that. And I will do a review of these lip products coming soon because they are phenomenal as well. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.